Who needs arm day when you got to carry all these books?
Hello my wonderful friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Sarzana. Today we're going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of January. I read about 11 books. January was like a romantasy month for me. There's a little bit of like fluffy romances here and there, but it was mainly focused on fanro, and I had the best time reading these fantasy romances, but January also felt like it was like 5 years long. Yeah, a lot happened in January, like book wise. We're gonna talk about it, but I'm gonna go in order because you guys need to understand how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. The only way I can explain it as best as I can is by telling you what I read. The first book that I read in the month of January is Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This book was so good. First of all, let's have a quiet moment for how beautiful and gorgeous and stunning this copy is. Like, this book is insanely gorgeous. Fairy Loot did their thing. Like, hello? Yes. Yes. This book is about Araya. She is a human girl and Rain, he is a vampire. When Araya was young, she was adopted by the Vampire King. And as you can imagine, being a human girl in a vampire court, especially in the Vampire King's castle, it can be very dangerous for Araya. So the Vampire King, he keeps her protected and basically confined in her room unless she is with him and like heavily armed guards, because he needs to make sure she's protected. In this kingdom, they're brutal with humans. So because Araya feels like she is always cautious around these vampires, she wants to even the field. In order to even the field, she joined something called the Kajari. The Vampire King has also competed in the Kajari. It's like a competition that a lot of people get into in order to win a certain wish from a specific goddess. The goddess is the goddess of like the Vampire Kingdom. I don't remember her name right now. Everyone wants something. There's a reason why they're all there. Everyone has different reasons, and Araya's reason is so she can become more powerful. When she joins this competition, she meets Rain. He is very nice to her and they form some kind of a friendship. From this friendship, things blossom and bloom and flourish, and after teaming up with Rain, they both find it very difficult to remember why winning is so important. And I absolutely loved it. It was definitely Hunger Game-esque. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is very fast paced. There's a lot of violence, so just be warned, there is a lot of violence, a lot of gore, blood, vampires, you know. There's a lot of graphic scenes as well. So just go in it with some caution, because there are some graphic scenes in here that may make you a little squeamish. And I love the violence aspect of it. I don't know if there's something wrong with me for that, but I just thought like it was super action packed and it was a lot of fun. There is a lot of spice in this as well, and I absolutely loved it. It wasn't as much spice, but it was just enough. The slow burn was slow burning. Like, Carissa Broadbent made us wait, okay? These side characters were also everything. I loved the side characters and like the friendships. It was a very wholesome fantasy romance read. I absolutely loved it. It did lose like 0.5 stars because it did get a little bit boring like towards like the middle or something. I remember just kind of like feeling like it was dragging a little bit. However, it picked right back up, and the action scenes, oh my goodness, it was so good. The tension, so good, so good, so good. And then next I read Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. This is a little novella, and you're supposed to read it in between Serpent and the Wings of Night and Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This book is about Lilith. She is a human girl, and about Vale. He is a vampire. He's basically living in like the human territory, I guess. There aren't a lot of vampires there. Lilith, our FMC, her town has some kind of a disease. Everyone literally withers into dust. They get this disease where their skin just starts to like flake all over the place and like dry out, I guess, and they end up dying. Her sister currently has this illness. Lilith is hellbent on trying to find a way to break this curse or find a way to find medication for this ailment, a cure if you will. And she thinks that Vale's blood, or a vampire's blood, is the answer to this. And Vale is conveniently the only vampire that is around her area who is willing to help her out. From there, things just take place and we see a love story between Vale and Lilith, which is very beautiful. I'm surprised how much Curse of Broadbent was able to fit into this tiny book, and honestly it left me wanting more. There are talks about like gods, what these gods can do, which I found very interesting, and it gives us a lot of insight into this world. I feel like this sets us up really nicely for Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I did give this 4 stars because I wanted more. I feel like it was a little rushed. Obviously it's a novella, so it is going to be short and sweet and to the point, but I really wanted more for Lilith and Vale. I just wanted more of their story, and I think the future books do go over Lilith and Vale's story. I'm not sure. I have to look into it. But yeah, I just wanted more of them and I really enjoyed it. It was like the perfect novella in the middle. And then I read Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is the second book in the duet. We learn so many things about our characters and the world. Araya and Rain have gone through it. The way book 1 ended, it picks up right after the events that take place in book 1 into book 2. Things are literally like so intense. The groveling in this book is chef's kiss. The amount of answers we get, I feel like I was left with more questions after this book ended than I received answers. However, the answers that I did receive was semi-satisfactory. The way this book ended, I felt like there was imminent doom waiting to just happen. I really have to read the rest of this series, but the way that it wrapped up for this couple was nicely done, and I am looking forward to seeing Araya and Rain in the next book. Hopefully we get tidbits of them, because otherwise I'm going to be disappointed. But honestly, this was not as good as the first one. I did enjoy it. I did give it like a 4.25, but just knowing that there was like something else that was going to be happening made it feel like this wasn't wrapped up nicely. So as like a conclusion to the duet, it was good, but in my opinion it could have been a little bit better. But at the same time, I know Carissa Broadbent is going to be extending this series through other couples and the events that are going to be taking place. So hopefully it will answer some of my questions then. The character development between Araya and Rain was a lot stronger than it was before. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. 4.25 stars. I really am looking forward to reading the rest of the series. And then next, in preparation for a certain reread and a certain new release, I figured I should be reading some like hockey romances and like some fluffy romances in a way to prepare myself and distance myself a little bit from reading fantasy romance. So I picked up Consider Me by Becca Mack. This is a hockey romance in like a small town. The series name is A Playing for Keeps, and I think there's like 4 or 5 books in this series. This is the first one and it's pretty thick. I'm not really into thick romance books. There's no reason for a contemporary romance book to be like 500 pages. I just feel like that's overdoing it. However, I did enjoy it. I gave this 4 stars. This book is about Carter. He is a hockey player, and Olivia, she is a hot gym teacher in a high school, where Carter is like 6 feet some tall. Olivia is like 5'1". The dynamic between the two of them physically I find hilarious, but also super adorable. Carter is a one-night stand kind of guy. He is not into having relationships, and Olivia, she is not a one-night stand kind of girl. She is all about having relationships. So they are very opposite in an aspect of what they want out of relationships. But when they both meet each other, it's really funny because Carter is basically, let me just set the scene for you. Carter's best friend and Olivia's best friends are dating, and Olivia's best friend's birthday party takes place at some bar or something, and Carter tries to hit on Olivia and she's like, no thank you. And he's just like slack-jawed and super surprised because no girl says no to Carter Beckett, right? So he's like one of those guys. And Olivia is so sassy. She is so fun, and their banter is so funny. I was literally like cackling while I was reading some of the scenes, and it was just really, really funny and really, really wholesome and fun, but there was also like a little bit of realism to it as well. There was a little bit more depth where so Carter was a player and now he is trying to be a good guy for Olivia, but the world doesn't want to let him be the good guy. So there's certain things that happens that makes it seem like he can't be in a relationship. Olivia feels insecure based off of the things that she sees and discovers, and rightfully so. It gives us a little bit of real life scenarios of what it would be like if we were to date a famous hockey player. And this reminded me a lot of Mile High. I did enjoy Mile High a little bit more than I did enjoy this book. This book was adorable. Like, I love Carter's family, his sister, his mom, like everything was just so wholesome and so much fun. I really can't wait to continue reading the rest of this series. If you're looking for like a hockey romance, if you're looking for something that gives you like the Windy City series vibes or Elsie Silver vibes, like I would definitely recommend taking a look at this series because it was very enjoyable. I did give this series a 4 stars because it was very predictable. Whenever I read contemporary romances, I go in it for like the vibes and stuff like that. Nothing really surprises me about contemporary romance book. There was like nothing really out of the ordinary, nothing surprising, nothing that like made me go ooh, ah, you know what I mean? It is a 4 stars for me, but it is a strong 4 stars, and it is a book that I would recommend for everyone to read if they're looking for a nice palate cleanser and a good romance, a good hockey romance to read. And continuing with my hockey romance reads, I read the OG The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I know I have like the cover with like humans on it. I don't have like the cute cartoon cover one because I did get this book before the new covers came out and I've just like been putting it off reading it, but I'm so glad I picked it up. This book is about Garrett and Hannah. Garrett is our hockey player and Hannah, she is our sweet singer. She is a star in academics. She does really well. She's very brilliant. Garrett is also very smart, but he's a jock, you know. In order for Garrett to continue playing hockey, he needs to maintain like a C average in all of his classes, and currently he is failing the class that he is in with Hannah, and somehow he finds out that Hannah is acing that class. So Garrett is like, she is going to be tutoring me. And the fact that she's attractive does not hurt. As hockey players are, he is irresistible. He's hot. Every girl wants him. Hannah, she is more cautious. She is more insecure. She is striving for her goals. She's not really looking for one night stands. She does have a little bit of a hard time in the intimacy field. She is also attracted to this guy that she wants attention from, but he doesn't even really notice her, but she notices everything about him. As Garrett is groveling and asking her for her to tutor him, he notices that Hannah is eyeing this guy that is not paying any mind to her. He's like, hey, if you tutor me, I will pretend like I'm dating you, and that will boost your popularity so that this guy notices you and we both have a win-win situation. Somehow he convinces Hannah. They both have gone through some stuff that is very traumatic for the both of them. I feel like it also like bonds their relationship a lot better. I really loved how this story took place where they went from friends to lovers and to something more. I feel like it really solidified and defined their relationship. I really feel like the topics that were talked about in this book were very in-depth and something that happens in real life that a lot of people don't talk about. And it wasn't like made into something dark and scary and gross. It was made into something that these two people grew from, overcame, and became better for at the end of it. Do go into this book knowing that it's not all fluffy good romance. There is some dark topics that are talked about here, so it may be triggering for you. There is child abuse and SA that is talked about here. There's nothing like on page necessarily, but it is like kind of like glazed over, so just go into it knowing that. I did give this 4.5 stars and I am looking so forward to reading the rest of this series. I loved Elle Kennedy's writing. This was my first Elle Kennedy book and I'm so mad at myself for waiting this long because I thoroughly enjoyed her writing and this book. And then keeping it with the hockey romances, I know I like had like a hockey and romantasy month, I read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This book is about Anastasia. She is a figure skater, and Nate, he's a hockey player. They're in the UCMH college, and I think that's what the series is. Yeah, UCMH series. The ice rink that the hockey players practice on was pranked on, so now it's like a swimming pool basically. So the school, they force the figure skaters and the hockey players to share a rink. This creates a little bit of animosity between the hockey players and the figure skaters. Anastasia is going for a specific award or something like that. There's like some kind of a competition happening, and she has a partner, and this partner she is also roommates with. She has 2 other roommates, and she hates the fact that she has to share her practice time with the hockey team. It is like a contemporary fluffy romance. There's nothing like significant that happens in this book that gives huge life lessons. This is like a cutesy romance where we see growth in a relationship. We have a lot of like friendships, like college friends kind of deal. I wouldn't like say that this is one of my favorite contemporary romances because it's not, but it's not bad either. It was just okay. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was very predictable, but it was enjoyable. It wasn't bad. I am looking forward to reading the rest of this series. I think it gets better. I'm not sure. If you've read the rest of this series, let me know what you're thinking about it, because I do have Wildfire and Daydream, and I did enjoy overall Hannah Grace's writing. And also this book is spicy, like spicy, and that also kind of turned me off. I don't mind spice in books, but it was just like too much. Like every other chapter just like kind of turned me off from this book, but otherwise not a bad read. And then we get to the series part of this month, okay? And then after I read my fluffy cutesy romances, I was like, okay, it's time for me to do my reread of Fourth Wing, read Iron Flame in time for Onyx Storm to come out, and I had to like get my shit together, right? So I did read Fourth Wing. I reread Fourth Wing. You want to see what I did? I tabbed the hell out of this book, okay? It's tabs upon tabs. I literally purchased a separate copy of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame just so I can have like an annotated copy, and I abused the hell out of this book. Like this book I feel like is so much heavier based off of all the annotations. Let me disengage from talking about my annotations of this book. If you guys want like an in-depth review of Fourth Wing, I do have a spoiler filled vlog when I first read it. I think it's like quite a few videos ago, but I will link it up here for you guys to go ahead and click on if you want to go ahead and watch that. And I also recently did the Empyrean series non-spoiler vlog where I reread Fourth Wing, read Iron Flame for the first time, and I also read Onyx Storm. It is non-spoiler. I literally like maybe give you guys some quotes and stuff like that, but they're also non-spoiler. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, I will also link it up here. So I'm not going to be talking too much about this book because I feel like I've talked about this book so much. It is no surprise that this is a 5-star read for me. It is no surprise that I absolutely fucking love this entire Empyrean series, okay? Like this series is my Roman Empire right now. Violet and Xaden can be my best friends any day. Liam can be my best friend any day. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. This is one of the best fantasy romances I have ever read. Like Fourth Wing definitely takes cake, you know, but then again, I don't know, like this feels very close to how much I love Fourth Wing, so I can't even say which one I like more. They're like right next to each other. Okay. The world building in this book is absolutely amazing. Everything is perfect about this book. The characters, the side characters, plot, the tension, the magic system, the world building, the dragons. No words, no words. I don't even know what else to say. Like, if you haven't read this book, what are you doing? Like, if you're gonna take anything away from any of my reviews, from any of my videos, please, please read this book. Please read this book. And then because I am a glutton for punishment, I did read Iron Flame right after Fourth Wing, and literally like back to back I binged the hell out of these series, and I read Iron Flame. I don't know why people don't like, I can see like where it got dragged out a little bit here and there, but I feel like it was a lot of information that we needed. Like this knowledge we needed to understand the world and the magic system and the plot of the story as well. Like, I feel like Rebecca Yarros did an excellent job setting us up to give us the knowledge that we were asking for, because Fourth Wing, it literally like grazed over the plot a little bit. It like grazed over like the world building and some of the historical events that took place, but I feel like this book solidified things a lot more, and it answered a lot of questions, but it also gave us a lot more questions, if that makes sense, which is rightfully so, because this is only book 2 in a 5-book series. And the way this book ended, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I am so glad. I'm so glad I read this when I already had Onyx Storm in my hands. Like, literally, I was finishing the last bit of this book when I went to the midnight release party to pick up Onyx Storm. So I like almost put like an all-nighter. I read this. I slept for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I picked up Onyx Storm because I needed to know what happened. And 5 stars. 5 stars, okay? 5 stars. And then Onyx Storm. I can't say shit. Like, I can't give you guys much of a review because this is the 3rd book in the series, and a lot of you are probably still reading it, so I don't want to say anything that is going to spoil you. But this is also a 5-star. A lot of the things that happen in this book tore me apart. Like, I'm trying to be understanding of why things happened and be okay about it, because I know that there's 2 more books in this series, but the emotional turmoil that I feel from reading this series and this book is unreal. Like, it is fiction. It is fiction, but I feel so attached to the character. It is insane how much I love these characters. It is insane how invested I am in these characters and this world and the things that are going to be taking place. I don't even know where we go from here. Like, all I can do is think about rereading this series, but at the same time, I'm terrified to reread it because I'm terrified to feel the things that I did feel while rereading this entire series. I was literally in tears reading this series. By the time I finished this book, I was like cool, calm, collected, you know, like, this is the 3rd book. There's more books to come. I am fine. Everything is okay. And it's been like almost 3 or 4 weeks now. I'm still thinking about this book, and I'm still thinking about Xaden and what is going to happen to him, what is going to happen to Violet. I'm still like stuck on that last page. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what else to say. There you have it. That is my review. It's a 5 stars. It's great. If you haven't read it, read it. If you want to wait to read it, I also recommend waiting to read it. I kind of wish that I waited until all 5 books were out to experience this world, because the amount of pain I am is unreal. But I'm so happy that I also read it. It feels like a lose-lose situation. Like, you either read it and you're in pain for like the next 2 to 3 years, or you don't read it and you're just like in La La Land, but then you don't experience Xaden Ryerson. I have been in kind of a slump since I read Onyx Storm. I've tried everything. I've tried various genres to pick myself back up. Every book I read is kind of like meh. Like, I haven't even had one 4-star read since I read Onyx Storm. So after Onyx Storm, I was like, let me read something totally different. Okay, so I read Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This is about Sloane and Rowan. Sloane and Rowan, they're both serial killers, and they unalive people who are also serial killers, but Sloane and Rowan, they kill to balance out the evil in the world and to do some good, and if they kill these serial killers, then they can't take other innocent lives, kind of thing. And in a way, they're like vigilantes, but make it serial killer wise. I did enjoy this book. There's like accidental cannibalism in it, which was gross, and there is a lot of like gore and blood, just like violence in general. Pretty graphic, but overall their love story was also very cute, but at the same time we didn't really get like in-depth information about their relationship per se, and I feel like that could have been done a little bit better. I did give this like a 3.5 stars, but then again, like, I feel like I didn't do this justice because I was still hungover from reading Onyx Storm, so I don't really know like if this is a valid rating or not, but at that time, at that moment, that's how I felt about it. It was funny. Like, there was a lot of things that were like super funny and unhinged and just unreal about how these two went about their life. I just couldn't make a connection, I guess, with any of these characters. Like, I read it and I was like, okay, cool. You know, that was a nice story, nice plot, you know, keep it moving. And then I read Crave by Tracy Wolff. This is a YA dark academia book. There's no spice. There is a little bit of tension between certain characters, but other than that, it's not anything crazy. We have Grace. She is a human girl whose parents have passed away. So she comes to live with her uncle in Alaska. He is a headmaster of the school that she's going to be attending, and this school is for paranormals, okay? And Grace has absolutely no idea that this school is for paranormals. I found this interesting enough to continue on with the series. It reminds me a lot of like the legacies. If you watch like Vampire Diaries and the originals, Klaus Michelson's daughter is in Legacies kind of thing. And that's basically what this gives me vibes of. Like we have dragons, vampires, we have werewolves, we have gargoyles, we have witches, like we have a slew of mythical creatures here, and I just find it super fascinating. It is a little cringy at times. There is certain things that Grace or other characters say that I'm just like, oh, like why, but also like it's repetitive. They compare certain situations with things that have happened, and it's like repeated multiple times. That just makes it not as interesting anymore, and it ruined the intensity of the situation, and it like took me out of the book a little bit. I give this 3.5 stars. It's not bad, but it's not great. I don't know about Tracy Wolff's writing. I don't know if I enjoy it as much as I would want to. I would honestly say that I enjoy the Twisted Sisters, Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valenti's writing over Tracy Wolff's. This isn't a bad read. It's definitely a interesting plot and storyline, so I am going to be continuing on with the series. All right, my friends, and that is all of the books that I read in the month of January. I read a total of 11 books. I feel like I went through a emotional roller coaster last month, and I really hope that February brings me just happiness. I just hope February brings me a lot of happiness and a lot of joy. I don't want to be depressed this month because last month I feel like I went through it with my books and my favorite characters. What books did you guys read in January? And let me know what your favorite reads was, what you're currently reading, or what you hated reading. Whatever you want to tell me, go ahead and comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.